Here we go. Trust the Profits. It's the formula here with Riders Up Tim. And we are capping the card for this Saturday as they are closing out yet another spring into early summer season at Churchill Downs. Riders Up Tim, how you doing today?
Doing wonderful. Hard to believe it's already the last week at Churchill Downs.
Yes, yes. And what a season it's been. And what a way to close it out on Saturday. They're going into Sunday, and that's a great card too. But this Saturday card, I feel, is really strong. And I think both you and I agree that this is a really fun one. We couldn't wait to talk to each other about this because we've been pretty good in the past on some of these capping the cards.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Foster, Florida Lee, you've got 4 graded stakes. It's a really good card. I think we've got some good races and hopefully some good
Right.
picks here for the folks.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I'm hoping so too. So you guys know the format. We're going to go through this. We're each going to give you our idea of a safe pick and our idea of a value pick for each of the races. So that means each of us is picking 24 horses, or are we? That's a spoiler. That's a teaser. You guys will have to wait to see if somebody does break that rule there and decides not to go with the 2 horses in a race rule. Yeah, so we're gonna have some fun with it. And before we get to it, just want to remind you guys or let you guys know. I think one of us is gonna be at Churchill Downs this Saturday. Is that correct, Riders Up, Tim?
That is correct. I'm going. I haven't been out as much this year as I really wanted to get out there, and
Yeah.
with it being the last week in this card, I figured great opportunity to get back out there to the track. Didn't have any other plans, so this is my plans for Saturday.
As someone who's about 2.5 to 3 miles away from the graveyard that's known as what used to be Arlington Park, I'm extremely jealous of you. Very, yes, exactly, exactly. All right, let's move on here to race one. We got maiden special weight, 120K purse, 5 furlongs. It is on dirt. We got a bunch of horses in here, and we got a bunch of horses that we're seeing for the very first time. And Tim, you and I talked about this one. 9 horses in this race, only one has racing history. And there's a special horse in this race, in our opinions here. We both picked him as our top pick, not just because of the story, but because we really think this horse has a very good chance of winning. I'll let you kick it off here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a full field of 9, and as you mentioned, only one of them has a single race. Everybody else is a first-time starter, so the story in and of itself is great. But this is your morning line favorite, and 3 to 1 on the morning line. But I think that with a bunch of first-time starters, there's a chance that we get a better price for that. But than that. But look at this, if you look at all the first time starters and you look at this one, these works, several really good works, sharp
Oh,
works.
yeah.
You've got this one coming in out of a Malibu Moon dam. That dam is 1 for 2. If you look, she's put 2 on the track, and 1 out of the 2 was 1 as a first time starter. And like we said, this is trained by D. Wayne Lucas on the form. And according to Churchill today, they were saying that his name is going to remain on the programs for all the races through the weekend. So, obviously our thoughts and prayers with the coach and his family as he is home battling illness and has retired officially from training. And so his barn is going to be turned over, and we'll talk more about that in the future. But with his name on this horse, I mean, look, it did. We're picking the horse because of other things in the works, and
Yep.
$550,000 Keeneland sales purchase, and looks like a good horse, owned by Live the Legacy, trained by the horse, called the track legend. I mean, does it get any better than that? And would there be any better way to start the card off than with
At
number 6
Churchill.
track legend winning for D. Wayne Lucas Barn?
I mean, really. I mean, really. Yeah, exactly. It creates such a story and it makes so much sense. And like you said, you look at this horse and you look at the workouts. To me, it was between this horse and the number 4 horse, also a charlatan horse, also getting 46.8 4 furlong workouts. To me, though, this was a slam dunk to go with D. Wayne Lucas,
I
right?
agree.
And he's got what who's he got his Juarez on top. The other one has Cassian Irad. So definitely it's tough to pick between those two, but got to give the nod to the track legend here. And you've got a value play as well.
I do. I'm going to go all the way to the outside. When you get these first time starters, especially in these big fields, I like the horses breaking from the outside. They get that little bit of space to break into. So I don't think that that's going to hurt. We're only going 5 furlongs here. So Saez obviously knows what he's doing for Dallas Stewart. This is another one that has some really good works in the morning. Now just needs to translate it onto the track. And here's another dam that only limited starters, only has 2 to hit the track, but she is also 50%. 1 out of 2 have made it to the winner circle on the first start. So we're going to give that one a shot with Luis Saez aboard at a morning line of 8 to 1.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. Going with another firster here. Surprise, surprise. I took the complete opposite angle that you took. You went all the way on the outside. I went all the way on the inside. Took a look at Ben Curtis, Brendan Walsh getting City of Light on the inside. The workout 49 second for furlong. Not super thrilled about that, but also not too bummed about it either. Getting the inside track, should have the shortest distance to the finish line here. City of Light, really strong sire. So I decided I liked a lot of the intangibles about that horse, picking the horse and hoping that doesn't get spooked out by that inside lane. So there you go. You got 6'9", start now 69. I think we should have a drop for that, right? And I got 6-1 in race one, and we are moving on to more maidens, more special weights, 120K. This time we are stretching it out on turf to 9 furlongs. We both got the same horse on top here and a different horse down below is our value play. You want to talk me through it?
Sure. So we're going 1.125 miles on the turf, and I look at the number 3 horse here, and this one's been off a little bit since the Keeneland Spring Meet, but seems like since the move to turf, this one's kind of woken up a little bit. Started off turf early on, and then moved to the dirt, but now I think. The turf is where this one wants to be. I think this is a good spot. Mike Maker and
Yep.
Luis Saez coming off the layoff here. Maker can definitely get them ready. I just think that when you look at the class of this horse, it should fit in with these, and there's no standouts in here. This one's
Right.
probably going to be your morning line is the morning line favorite. Probably will go off as the favorite. I wish I could. Pick a different horse on top, but I just think that this one's probably got the goods and is in a good spot here. I think this one fits well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like you. I feel like looking at a horse that's gone through 11 races in a maiden special weight class like this, going 9 furlongs, with surrounded by horses less than 10 for the most part. You want to find a horse that's probably a little bit closer to, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 races, saying, okay, well, this is the one that's going to pop off in a race at Churchill Downs, right? This isn't Parks, but yeah, it seems like it's ready time for this horse. Trained by Michael Maker, trained by Chad Brown before that. Luis Saez on top. It comes out of Into Mischief. So yeah, I'm thinking now is probably a good time for this horse. Sets up pretty nicely. The earnings per race is pretty good for this horse. Sits off the pace pretty nicely, which I'm hoping is going to play into its favor. We got a lot of horses that sit pretty far off the pace. The horse all the way to the end, I think that's the 9 horse there. If I'm doing my math right, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. Yeah, the 9 horse. I think
Yes.
that's going to be your pace setter there. For my value play, I did go over to another Brandon Walsh horse, getting Flavian Pratt. Nike was the sire here. Only had one race so far for Rule 76, but one of the tactics I've been using lately, one of the tactics that I think has been pretty fruitful, is finding horses that, when you look at those intangibles, the jockey, the trainer, the sire, I always sort of combine those and make one score out of that. And you look, as they've gone through 1 or 2 races, if it looks like they've disappointed compared to what the trainer and the sire are capable of, you give them a little bit of an extra bump, saying, okay, there's going to be an improvement here. And Rule 76 falls into that category for me. So hence Rule 76 is going to be my value play here at 8 to 1, assuming that we are going to get a nice little bump here.
Yeah, and you know, when we were talking about the 3 with the 11 races, that one's been in the money 5 times, so that was obviously the pick, and,
Yeah.
most of these others that have a race, most of them have been in the money maybe 1 time on a 2nd or 3rd. The 9 to all the way to the outside does have 3 seconds and 3 thirds, but I am
Yep.
totally against the 9 in this spot, and
Me
I will
too.
tell you,
Me too.
this Ian Wilkes trainee, you know me, I'm a big fan of the Ian Wilkes barn and regularly follow his horses. And I will talk about one here later in the card that I really like. But this
Yeah.
is not one. And he's got Landeros up on this one. This one's had multiple opportunities, just never gets it done. So I'm looking for a first time starter. And with that, I went to the number 7 streetcar. So you went with the Brendan Walsh inside. I went with the Brendan Walsh a little further out. You know, this is
Yeah.
a street sense out of a Ghost Zapper mare getting IRAD up for Brendan Walsh. This one looks like has had some really sharp works. You look back at that 29th May workout, that was a really sharp gate workout. So I just think that this one is well positioned. IRAD coming in to ride this weekend at Churchill. And I like the 7 a lot. Of all the first time starters, that was my favorite.
Awesome. All right. Let's ping pong over to race 3. We're getting out of maidens finally. We'll be back. This one is an optional claimer, per size 127K. Also going 9 furlongs in this one, but this time we are on dirt. You want to kick it off with your safe play here, Fountain Lake.
Yeah, I'm kind of against Shangri-La Road in this position a little
Okay.
bit. I like the number 6 Fountain Lake. If you look back at Keeneland, Shangri-La Road did beat this horse at Keeneland, but the Keeneland surface is a little bit different than Churchill, even though they're both here in Kentucky a little over an hour apart. This is a horse, though, that seems like to me I'm going to won a maiden on a sloppy track. So do with that as you will, but then came right out of that against Winners first time out and almost gets the win. And that was at a mile and a 16th. And now we're going a mile and an eighth. And I just think that Fountain Lake is going to relish the added distance in here. Julian Leperoux has ridden this horse last 3 times out, finished in all 3 of the money spots, first, second, and third. And I think this horse is going to beat Winners for the first time here. And I like this one over the 4 because of the distance. I think the added distance benefits this one a little bit more to me.
Yeah, definitely a closer. Sticks out as being a closer to me. Sits a little bit further back than Shangri-La Road, right? Um, yeah, I actually like the distance markers for Shangri-La Road. Uh, I think the distance is going to suit him well. He does sit closer to the pace, but he's also getting an upgrade here in terms of jockey, getting Flavian Pratt. I do have the distance being very good for Fountain Lake as well, as you mentioned. But I think sitting as close to the pace as he is, being as strong of a horse as he is, coming out of City of Light, I think he's going to be able to sustain a little bit more. Fountain Lake might be trying to catch up, and I think Shangri-La can hold on if he's out in front early on. We both landed on the same value play here, though, with Racing Driver. Gives a bit of a close himself. Has a bit of, is also sitting closer to the pace that I'm noting here, and has the best last race numbers per my equation here. Sitting at 8-1, Gustavo Delgado, dialed in being the sire. Yeah, I settled on Racing Driver as being my value play, and it looks like you did as well.
Yeah, Bejarano's actually been riding pretty well. You know, looking like
Yes.
looking like the Bejarano of old here a little bit over the last week or so, as he's brought a couple of horses in, and this is one that you looked these two hooked up last time out to bring home this $13 winner. So that was the only time they've gotten together. They're 1 for 1 together, and Gustavo brings him right back. But the thing is, this horse has been kind of cold on the tote board just about every race, even the maiden race. This horse wins the maiden race at 26-1 at Gulfstream. Then comes in here. I'm just putting a line through that slop race. And if you put a line
Sure.
through that slop race, you got back to back wins. So the horse wins in maiden special weight, steps all the way up to allowance class and wins again. I think this horse definitely has an opportunity to get a piece here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in my equation here, I put a line through the slop race as well because I try to pull out anything that looks like an outlier, and I believe that was one for me. So I got a much higher grade on this horse than 8-1.
Yep, agreed.
Moving along, we got ourselves a claimer here going 7.5 furlongs on dirt. We both settled on completely different horses here. I went way off the board. I think you stuck a little bit closer, at least with your safe play here. Go ahead and tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the four here of Magnifico, Joe Sharp and Jose Ortiz. These two are have been doing pretty well. When I was talking about right before we came on air today to record this episode, we're recording on Wednesday, and today I think out of the first 5 or 6 races, Jose had 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 6, something like that. So
Yeah.
he's on fire right now. He's riding really well, seeing the track well there. This horse has 3 out of 4 in the exacta, and just looks to be well spotted right here. The Joe Sharp barn has been hot. This horse has consistently been your favorite last 4 times out. Won the last 3, and that's following a trainer change thrown in as well. But this one should move forward off of that last race. That one was in the mud, so
Yeah.
we do have a slight chance for some thunderstorms coming in, so we may get a little bit of a wet surface this Saturday as well. I don't know that we're going to get so much that it'll be muddy, but I'd say there's an outside chance. But this one has proven that he can run in the wet on the wet track, and I like him a little bit here.
Yeah. If we do get any rain, I think the heat will soak it right up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's for
Probably
sure.
pull it right up into the air. This one,
93, as I said here now.
yeah, this one seemed very spread out to me. This race,
Yeah.
like it seemed very even. I'm looking at my numbers. I've got like a temperature chart essentially going across, and there's a lot of even green, I would say, until you get to the very end. Those last few horses, they sort of fall off. But man, all the way up to like I would say the 7, I feel like it's extremely even, splitting hairs in between. So my value play here is actually at a 5-1. The Norm Cassie horse with Junior Alvarado getting a nice little jockey upgrade there. This is a horse that's improving in terms of where he's at on the pace. Getting 5-1, I'm calling that my safe play. But if you look at my numbers here, I actually have my top play as being the 10-1 horse Zambezi, who looks pretty strong at the distance to me. I think he's going to be able to sustain here. He's got one of the best in-class wins compared to the rest of the field. Maybe doesn't stick out to a lot of other people. I really like the his earnings per race, sitting close to the pace himself for 7.5 furlongs. The one thing that knocked me off about El Magnifico was being the pace setter here, and I'm looking at 7.5 furlongs. I always think when you get into that 7 to 8, whenever you get to 7.5, that's a real tricky spot, especially for a pace setter. That extra furlong, that extra half a furlong that the horses might be used to, the horses that are sitting closer to the pace, I feel like they get the advantage. Hence, I went with Gunner Bay, who also sits close to the pace, and then my value play here at 10-1, Zambezi. Actually, my top play, the Candy Ride horse. I got a feeling about this horse at 10-1, and I think you're going to get a good number on him because I think trainers like Medina are probably not going to get a lot of the money that some of these other trainers you see in this race are going to get. We're talking about Walden, Rice has 2 horses, Norm Cassie, Joe Sharp. People might sit on Medina and look at some of those other horses and give them a little bit more cash. Tell me about your horse, though, going into the inside pure class.
Yeah, and I love what you just said because we don't talk about things like this beforehand. But the one thing I wrote on this race is super competitive race. I can make a case for about 5 of them here. And the funny thing is, the horse that I called my safe play is also not my top pick. The one is.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So just like you, and the reason for that is I think you were talking about getting every bit of 10-1. I think you will because I think there are a lot of horses in
Yeah,
here that are going to take money. And you know, you look at a horse like Chasing Time, you look at Classic Car Wash all the way to the outside, who was on the Derby Trail a couple years ago. So,
he was.
but I love pure class in here. Look, this is a class dropper, and when you look at this horse and the races that this horse has been running in, I just think that this is a much softer spot Second off the layoff, had a pretty even race in a stakes race last time out, going 7 furlongs at Gulfstream, but is now going to get first start at Churchill. But likes the Churchill training track, has a bullet work back on the 20th of June of 47-3, best of 19 for the day, and lots of solid works here coming into this race. David Fox is 1 for 1. He's betting 1,000 so far here at the track and gets Luis Saez up. So can't beat those connections. I like this horse a lot at 12-1,
Yeah.
coming from the inside. Second off the layoff after a really bad trip last time, which the horse was just kind of even and dropping down from those stakes races. This is a much softer claiming race, and this horse, to me, if anything, I think that we might not get the 12-1 on this one because I think this one's going to come down in price.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's no Brad Cox in this race. I talked about some of the trainers looking possibly better on paper than Robert Medina, but there's no Brad Cox. There's no Walsh. There's no Todd Pletchers in this race, but solid all the way across, right? Like we said, solid all the way across. Yeah, interesting. 4 wins in 10 races for pure class. That's You always like to see a horse that knows how to win, right? It's it seems simple, but sometimes it's an underrated statistic. All right, next up, we got an allowance race, an 83K purse. We're going 6 furlongs on dirt, and we both agree with who the safe play is on this one. Go ahead and tell me about Lambo.
Yeah, Lambo looks really tough. If you look at obviously in this one we're allowance class, and this one just broke his maiden last time out, but coming over to David Jacobson, was previously trained by Steve Asmussen, getting Jose Ortiz. That race in the last one was pretty sharp, and I don't think the horse was asked much at the end. 6 furlongs. We're going to repeat distance. I
Yep.
think the horse has a lot more coming out of that race and should move forward off of that race. Again, Jose's riding well,
Hmm.
so the connections and everything tell me that this one's in a sharp spot to be able to move forward and probably get a win against winners first time out.
Yeah, no, this is a strong play right here. The winnings per race at the distance for Lambo, all that checks out for me. Best in class for the win. I think I've got him tied with the 7 horse here. Yeah, the 7 horse I had tied with the best in class win. But everything else at this horse, it looks better than the 7 to me. And he's a pace setter here. I ignored the pace setters in the last race because it was 1.5 furlongs longer. I wanted someone that's going to be sitting closer to the pace here. I don't mind if this is a pace setter. There's going to be some pace pressure. The 3, the 4, the 5 all look like they want to be on the pace, but I do think that Lambo is going to be, of the safe plays, the best one here. I really do like the 1 horse though, Incursion at 12-1. I actually do have him rated a little bit above Lambo. Um, in terms of pace, he is going to be a little bit off the pace. He's going to have a little bit of a close at the end, which is what you're going to want to see here, especially if it's a short race. You don't want them to be closing from too far out. Sitting close to the pace and having a little punch at the end is going to be nice. Um, yeah, Incursion, 1 win in 4 races. He's been raced a little bit lighter, but I love the combination here of Michael Maker. You've got Run Happy as the sire, and you've got Flavian Pratt as the jockey sitting on the inside there in a 6 furlong race here. So yeah, Incursion is going to be my value play.
Yeah, and with the number two protege, 5-1 is right on the line of whether or not it's a value play for me, and
No place.
that's about as short as I want for a value play. But here's the thing: I mean, you look at our top play of the 3 being 3-1, the 4 is 4-1, the 6 is 9-2. You've got another 5-1 towards the outside, so you've got at least 4 horses that are a shorter price. So
Yep.
something's got to give. I don't think that they all keep those kinds of odds and the money gets spread that way. And I really like this horse coming into this race. Sam Lewinsky, he's got 2 seconds out of 2 races. But if you look at this horse, he's 5 for 5 at Churchill in the exacta, and he's 7 for 8 at the distance. So I think he provides good value. C2 Racing Stables, we all know those colors, and this horse, another one that I think has a shot here in the race. Uh, you got a lot here that are stepping up from the maiden ranks, and you've got a couple that have raced in allowance races and not really shown a whole lot. This one is not that. This one's got a couple of allowance races that look pretty good. One at Churchill, one at Keeneland. Both of those look pretty decent, both in the exacta finish. So I think this is a horse that definitely could get a little bit of a price here and finish on the board, maybe even in the exacta. The only thing to watch here is whether or not this one stays in. Watch the entries at Evangeline on Friday. This one's crossed entered at Evangeline on Friday. So if this one stays in, though, then you know that they think that this is where they want the horse to be. So keep an eye on that.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at this horse too, and I'm looking at the numbers comparing across, and it looks very favorable. I think if you look at those other horses you mentioned and you add the 8 horse, the McPeak horse that's opening up at 15 to 1, the
Right.
McPeak horse that comes out of Always Dreaming, BJ Hernandez is the jockey. It looks fairly strong, 4 times in the money out of 5 races. I don't think that's going to hold at 15 to 1. I honestly think, just based on a lot of the other horses in this race, if that 2 horse does stay in, it's not going to be at 5 to 1. It might be closer to 10 to 1, and you're going to get a valuable price. So I really like that you put that one in your value play. All right, guys, let's move on to race 6. Race 6, what do we have here? Tim, it looks like we missed something on your horses here. You only have one horse. It's the
We missed
13.
nothing.
Tell us more.
Yeah, look, I looked at this race and we've got a maiden special weight and I went through the field here and you've got some that obviously have some races under their belt,
Yep.
but no, nothing really stood out to me in here. We've got a full field of 14 plus 4 also eligibles. So 18 horses. I think the 2 best horses are in the also eligible list as far as top pick kind of eligible horses.
Yeah.
And that would be the 16 and the 17 for me, with the 17 being favored over the 16. But I like both of those horses more than anybody in the field. But with this many in, it's going to take a lot to get them in, and one horse ahead of them on the AE list. So when I look at the shorter price horses, I don't see anything that impresses me. So when I started looking around, I landed on this 13, and I talked about Ian Wilkes and about how I follow his barn and his horses and love betting because I've made some money. Look at these works. 1st of June, 47, Bullet, best of 132 on the day. Then 15 June, 4 Furlong, 46 and 2, second best of 67. And then followed that up on the 22nd with a 47 and 3, fourth of 60 breezing from the gate. So a gate work in
Yeah.
there. And look, the one race was at Ellis, and it was last year. This horse has taken some time off, is going to get first time Lasix. It looks like this is an into mischief out of a street sense dam. I think that this horse is working well. Ian definitely knows how to get him ready. This horse is
He does.
working lights out in the morning. And I don't know about that 20 to 1 morning line, but I'll take every bit of it. And this was my top pick and value pick, all rode into one. Yeah, again, I think it's a great spot here to take a shot at some of the value picks. Watch if the AEs draw in, though.
Yes. Yes. No, that's a great point you made, because that 17 looks strong. The 14 looks strong. All these horses on the outside of 12, extremely interesting to consider. I don't want to overuse that word, but yeah, especially that 17 sticks out to me. I went in another direction here. I stayed within the 12 horse boundary, and I picked 2. Violet Irene, to me, when I put together my formula numbers on this horse, that one sticks out to me as being the best one of the bunch. Only one race, but finishing in the money that one time. I like the time that this horse ran. I've got it as being the best of the last races that the horses ran. This one has the best. 6 to 1 morning line. I'm going to call that a safe play. If we move over to Lost and Found, I feel like that is my best horse of the play, though. Lost and Found also won race, also finished in the money in that race. Uh, Ran in the slop in that race, though, and actually did pretty well. And I've got a jockey upgrade. I've got it as being pretty close in terms of sitting close, finishing close to the finisher the first time out. So I think these are 2 pretty good plays here. You're getting 10 to 1 on Lost and Found. Flavian Pratt, William Walden at 10 to 1 in this race with a lot of these horses that we talked about being semi-suspect, I'll take 10-1, and I'll take that as my top horse. Actually, is Lost and Found. You want to talk about your value? Oh, you already talked about your value play. What am I talking
One
about?
and the same.
One in the same. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ooh, this looks familiar. We joked about this one earlier because not only did Tim trick me by putting a value play and safe play as the same horse, but he also put the 4 and the 1 horse as his 2 plays here, which told me he left off Torpedo Anna, but he quickly changed that after reviewing the slides. Go ahead and tell me why Torpedo Anna is the top one.
Yeah, the 4 was definitely a fat finger. That I'll blame that on my typing. Look, she's done very little wrong in the last year and a half,
For
and
sure.
that last race, I'm willing to forgive her. And you can go back and try to decipher why I decide to draw a line through it and just forget about it and not figure out why and what happened. And if she comes back this time and throws another clunker, now we got to take a look and figure out what's going on. But she's had some good work since then. There's nothing to make me think that was anything more than an outlier, and that she's going to return to her regular grizzly self today. So I like her a
Yeah.
lot in here.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the last race, not even hitting the board, not even finishing in the money. Turned around real quickly to get to that race. I think probably had some issues that we had noticed during the race, but in a 5 horse race like this, a horse that eight times in the last 10 has not just finished in the money but won. 9 times out of the last 10 finished in the money. This seems like the best single of the day to me. Obviously, you're not going to get even money on this horse or even close to it. Probably going to be 1-9 when she goes off, but there you go. Torpedo Anna, that's my top play. If I'm going to pick any sort of value play here, taxed at 9-2, 4.5-1, if you want to bring it down to that level. Technically beat Torpedo Anna last time out, came in second place in that race to Raging Torrent, Raging Seas, right?
Regency.
Thank you. So that would be my next play at 9-2. I think that's the best value play, and you're not going to get much value in this race at all. It's not very bettable of a race unless you just want to completely send a bridge jumper on Torpedo Anna or single her in some sort of horizontal.
Yeah, and look, it's a 5 horse race, and you got a horse that's probably going to go off at 1 or 2 to 5 here. So there's little value to be found unless you're against Torpedo Anna. In that case, you take your shot with a horse on top. I'll just
You
say
do you, yeah.
quickly so that we can move on. I like her here, and but I do like Royal Spa underneath. That would be the horse out of all of the rest of them that I just think that this horse seems to be moving forward a little bit. The last race at Churchill was really good, and now she's going to get a little bit more distance here. And I think if she continues to move forward, that she can give those other horses not named Torpedo Anna a run for their money.
Indeed. All right, guys, we are now at race 8, Tepin Stakes, a 250K 8 furlong turf race. And you're not seeing double here, or you are, but there's a reason you're seeing double. It's because we actually have the same picks right across here. So why don't you kick it off, Tim?
Yeah, look, Vixen had won 2 straight stakes races, won a grade 3, and then she ran into a buzzsaw named Nitrogen. And Nitrogen is just an incredible horse. And if you didn't see what she did at Saratoga last time out in the Wonder again, where they were rained off of the turf, but she went ahead and ran in the mud. And now you wonder if they're going to put her on the dirt because she won by like 16 lengths. So there's no nitrogen in here. So if you take that out, yes, you can look and say that Lush Lips did beat this horse last time out, but I don't think she beats Vixen in here in this particular race. We're going a mile and not a mile and a 16th, and I think that fits Vixen a little bit better than it does the mile and a 16th that they win in the Edgewood. I just think that she is much the best in here, and I'd be really surprised if we got 2-1.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say the same thing. I don't think you're going to get 2-1 on Vixen here. Three wins in. Am I reading that right? 3 wins in the last 8 races, 7 times in the money. In terms of cash, and how much this horse has made. Definitely the most over averaged out over all races and at the distance. Got the best in class win of all the horses here. Race times look solid. I mean, you pretty much said all we needed to say about Vixen. Moving on to something stronger, you look across the rest of these horses, you move past Lush Lips because there's no value there. But I look at a horse that, per my grading scale here, had the best race last time out, and that's something stronger. And you look across the past three, the past 10, you look at for the surface, and all of my speed figures that I've created here are fairly similar, I would say, to Vixen for Lush Lips. And you're getting 10-1 on this Albert Stall Jr. horse. Justifies your sire here, and that's pretty solid. That tells you something. So I feel very good saying dig into something stronger here, the number 2 horse. Did you have anything else to add to something stronger?
Yeah, look, it obviously it's a big step up. She's moving from a maiden special weight, but look, if you look at her numbers, and the first two were on dirt, one of those on a sloppy surface, but she woke up a little bit last time out on the turf, and I think they saw that. Granted, that was 5 furlongs and it was against maidens, but I think they found out that she might be a turf horse, and they're going to give her a shot here. And I really think with that number in this race against some of these others, that if she can, obviously those first two, look at them, a mile and a 16th races. So she can get the distance. She finished second in both of those races. So I'm not
Yeah.
concerned about the distance. And she kind of set off the pace a little bit in the 5 furlong, and she's going to have an opportunity to do that stretching out. I just think that this is one that could certainly move forward.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Graham is riding great right now, and he's ridden this
Yeah.
horse all 3 times, and to 2 nice seconds and her win last time out. So he and Albert Stahl are almost 40% together for a $6 ROI. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot in getting that one underneath the top pick here, and crazier things would happen, then I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to try to play her on top a little bit as well, and with the
Yeah.
same horses, because you never know what they may have found something here, and she may be something. We'll see.
No, when you said about that turf switch, I've got this horse as having the best numbers on the surface, actually.
Right.
Only 3 races for this horse in total. But if you look at like the way my formula numbers work, they're on about let's say a 1 to 10 scale. You get an 8.15 on something stronger, and with Vixen you get a 7.56. So for the surface, I actually have this horse graded out a little bit better. This could be something stronger. This could be some sort of coming out party for a horse like this, right?
I like her.
I like her a lot too. I'm glad you do, because we when we agree on stuff, sometimes good things happen. We've seen it before.
Exactly. Speaking of agreeing,
Speaking of agreeing, Doublemint twins are back. We both agree on this G3 race, 6.5 furlongs on dirt. Uh, Booth, man, this horse has come a long way. Go ahead and tell me more about your top play here, Booth.
yeah, I mean, he's just running really well right now. He just doesn't do
Yeah,
much wrong, and
no,
Steve Asmussen trained. He's got his son Eric riding this one, and he just
yeah,
wins. He's four wins in a row, 3 of those being triple digit buyer speed figures, and that just kind of towers above the rest of this field. And you've got a couple in here who have hit that at one point, but this horse is just consistently at those figures. I just think he gets out front and doesn't look back and runs away from them.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a total sprinter coming from Atoli, and he's been doing no wrong. A lot of his wins are at Oaklawn Park, but then he turned around and got a big win at Pimlico. He has won at Churchill before last year, I think, in an allowance optional claim or allowance race, something like that. So I'm not worried about that at all. He's also one of the younger horses in this race. We've got a couple that are. We got one that's 8 years old and 3 Technique, who's still around, by the way. Red Flag is out there. Durante's still out there at 7 years old and 6 years old. And Booth is sitting there at four, just a little bit over 4 years old. If they want, he's got a nice long career ahead of him as a sprinter. But I've got him as well as my top horse for all the reasons you said. He's got the best win. He just keeps winning. The only thing that holds me back and says maybe I shouldn't pick Booth here is, like any horse that strings together wins, you're waiting for the point where he doesn't win.
Right.
You're waiting for that point where he's head to head with another horse and loses by a nose or a neck or something. And is that going to be on Saturday? My next choice up here, the 6 horse, Happy as a Choice, getting 10 to 1, 90% in the money. Did I read that right? Yeah, 90% in the money for this horse. That's in 10 races, 4 wins for Happy as a Choice. Doesn't exactly have the biggest win, but has a pretty solid win, a 300K win. Um, median lengths to win within a -1. That sticks out to me as being a positive thing there as well. Um, and then speed figures at the park also pretty strong for Happy as a Choice. Yeah, it's one of these situations where if you're going to pick Booth on top at 2 to 1, you think he's going to win. You look for another horse that's going to be there and giving you a price. Happy as a Choice fits that bill real nicely.
Yeah, and obviously you've got a couple other horses in here who have been in grade ones and grade twos, but he hasn't embarrassed himself in his 2 grade 3s that he's been in, and I just think he's one that you have to give a chance underneath in the exotics. I don't think he's a win candidate here, but I do think, especially at the price, he's going to be on my trifecta tickets. Renee gets him going late, and that's the recipe for this one. He kind of closes up, and I think he will be closing in the lane, and he's got some good late speed. So maybe the rest of these, with all of the early speed that we've got in this race, tire each other out, and this one has a really good shot at finishing underneath in this race.
Excellent. All right, moving on. Finally, we reached some sort of disagreement here. Yeah, there were 2 favorites in this race, and they were very close for me. I settled on one. You settled on the 7. Sorry, I settled on the 4. I shouldn't say I settled on one because some people might think I settled on the 1. You settled on the 7, which I was debating. Go ahead and tell me why you picked Brilliant Birdie.
Yeah, look, I looked at these 2 horses, and it's just the one of the 2 that I wanted. I'm kind of against Mercante in here, and we're going a mile and a 16th on the turf, and if you look, these 2 have definitely faced off before, and
Yeah.
last time out, Mercante did get the best of that one. When this one sat the pace all the way around, Brilliant Birdie sat the pace, and the other one got the perfect trip and just moved by in the lane, but it was a battle. If you go back and watch that, it was a real battle in the stretch, and now we're repeating distance here, but I think that Birdie probably learned something from that. BJ learned from that, and we're not going to give that horse the same pocket trip. So they're definitely both competitive here, but when you look at it, that was the first time that this horse um, had lost on the Churchill turf.
Yeah.
So this horse had been four for four going into the last race.
Okay.
So horse for the course. Had 2 wins and a second out of 4 times at the distance. So I just think that we see it often to where a horse beats a horse, and in the next race the other horse turns the tables. And
Yep.
I just like Brilliant Birdie a little bit more here in the position. And if I'm picking, between Joe Ramos and BJ Hernandez, nobody knows their way around the Churchill surface better than BJ.
Yeah. No, great points. Great points. It was practically a coin toss for me between these 2 horses. We almost had 3 consecutive races in a row where we had the same picks, right? But I did land on Mercante, as you mentioned here. I've got him as having, in terms of the last 3 races, dropping the worst. I've got him as having the best 2 of those races left over. 5 wins out of 10 versus 6 wins out of 10 for Brilliant Birdie. 9 times in the money versus 8 times in the money for Brilliant Birdie. I mean, these horses are so close, but I really do like his last race as well. His last race, I feel like he distanced himself from the rest of the crowd here. And if you look at my basic formula numbers over the past 10, over the past 3, for the surface, for the distance, he just edges him out a number of times. And there's a couple areas elsewhere where I do have Brilliant Birdie higher. If you look at the best overall win, Brilliant Birdie wins that. But I'm looking at the speed figures, and I'm also looking at the fact that Mercante going to be a little bit closer to the pace here, and he's a horse that can sustain that, I believe. So he's going to put himself in a pretty good situation here. And yeah, I've got him just edging out over the 7. So I get it. Moving on to event detail, though. We're talking about this being the Wise Dan. I didn't mention that before. $500,000, a G2 on turf, going 8.5 furlongs. So you're going 8.5 furlongs. You want a closer. So event detail to me looks like the best closer. This is a horse that is also getting closer to the pace, which is positive. You like to see a horse that can do a little bit of everything, has a little bit left at the end. He's getting a jockey upgrade as well. Seeing a horse getting 8-1, William Walden, Irad Ortiz, City of Light, all that stuff seems to be really good to me in this race here. And he's also, from my numbers, on a 3-race improvement, so he's on a good trajectory. So in this race, I feel like it's a good point for him to bump up, to get his nose up there at 8-1. That's why I liked Event Detail, and I'm curious to hear why you liked him.
Yeah, pretty much many of the same things that you said. I also have this horse as improving each time out. And you want to talk about improvements? Joel Rosario to Irad Ortiz. So it doesn't get much of a bigger improvement than that. But here's the thing: I love Irad on a closer, but these two have not hooked up at Churchill. So you look down there in the jockey trainer, it's like 0 for 0. But you better look a little deeper, because if you look at when these two hook up overall, they're 6 for 12, they're 50%. And Irad's won the last 3 times that he's been up for William Walden. So if Walden's putting him up, I mean, he's probably got a horse that he thinks suits him, and the connections have been pretty good. So I like all of that. Again, I don't think that this is my top horse, but I
No.
do like Brilliant Birdie quite a bit. But it wouldn't surprise me. Stranger things have happened. That's why they run the races, and
Yeah.
you know that this is a kind of horse. It seems like Irad brings an 8-1 horse home better than he does a 2-5 sometimes. And
Especially on
but,
Saturdays.
but I just absolutely love this horse in this spot, and
Yeah.
I just think that this is one that will be on my tickets for sure.
Agree to agree. All right. Now, this next race, we could probably spend a good portion of the day talking about. This is the Stephen Foster. It is a G1. It is for
$1 million.
There we go. I got to hit that button again. 9 furlongs, and whoever wins this is going to get their ticket punched to go to the BC Classic. 7 horses entered in this race, many of whom we've heard from before, including last year's BC Classic winner, Sierra Leone, who we both had on top as our safe pick. Go ahead and tell us why you had him on top, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's coming off a layoff, but you look last year, he was so close for much of the year, and in the Triple Crown races, and the Jim Dandy and Travers and right there. But he capped off the year with a great win in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He came back this year in that race at the fairgrounds, and as the odds-on favorite, and probably needed the race. And I'm not sure why he went back on the shelf for so long. But I just really think that this is a good spot for him. There are a lot of names in here when you look at the names, but I just love Sierra Leone in this position. Obviously, you can make a case for a lot of these in here.
Yeah.
It's if you get outside the 7-horse Ashcroft, who's won 100,000, everybody else is a multimillionaire. So these
Yeah.
are some of the best horses in the game. It's a Grade 1 Stephen Foster. This is why I'm going out there on Saturday, because it's such a
Yeah.
good race with so many really good horses. But I just love Sierra Leone, Chad Brown, and Flavian Pratt. Do those two hook up for wins ever? Yeah, a couple times. But I look for this horse to get back on track and be pointed towards Breeders' Cup weekend again this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sierra Leone, 100% in the money for his career. So almost 100% in the money. No, he is 100% in the money for his career, right? He got
Yeah,
third
10 for
place
10.
at Fairgrounds. Yeah. So that's noteworthy, especially considering the fact that he is a deep closer.
Yeah.
And that race he ran at the Fairgrounds, um, looking back, not a single at all. He he definitely is a horse that needs that race to set up for him. He needs that speed out in front, and he needs those horses to tire so he can do his thing and kick towards the end. And there's a chance that this speed does set up. Skippy Longstocking started off, I would say, as a pace setter, and if you look at a lot of those recent races, has turned himself into a really nice stalker. We'll see what happens in this race. We'll see who takes this early speed in this one. It could be Mind Frame, could be First Mission. No, probably not First Mission. Could be Mind Frame. Um, yeah, I'm curious to see how it does set up and whether it's going to be really good for Sierra Leone. I have Sierra Leone in top as my safe play, purely because I think he's going to hit the money one way or the other. Whether he
Yeah,
wins or
exactly.
not, I don't think he's going to win. I do think it's going to be Hit Show. Hit Show, we were talking about this before. He's got 9 wins in 18 races, which is something pretty solid. For a horse that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, who in his Derby year was seen as like the second, maybe even the third of Brad Cox horses, kind of a almost a forgettable horse in some minds. He's put together a pretty brilliant career, and I am shocked that he is out there at 9-2. I actually thought he was going to be closer to 3-1, and I thought he was going to be a lower number than Sierra Leone. I thought, considering Sierra Leone's last race, number of horses in this field, people would consider that, or the odds makers would consider that. But here we are. Mindframe isn't the morning line favorite even. It's Sierra Leone. I'll take it show at 9-2. Tim?
Yeah, look, when it comes to these horses in this race, I mean, you've got a 7 horse field, and you look at as I was talking about the 6 horses and how close they are. The morning line is questionable, and I don't mean anything negative towards the morning line setter. It's just
Oh
really
no.
hard to say exactly how this race is going to be bet, because you've got a lot of horses that each of them, for their own reasons, take money. You know, whether it be the Brown and Pratt Sierra Leone, or the Todd Pletcher and Ired Ortiz Rapoli mind frame. You know, you've just got Brad Cox and Luis Saez on First Mission. So you just got a lot of them. But Hit Show, here's the thing. I probably, as much as anybody else out there, you know, question Brad Cox riding Florent Giroux as his number one, as much as anybody in the game. And look, but I'll tell you, he's done nothing wrong on this horse. When you look at Hit Show and you look at Giroux being up, it's like his only 2 losses on the form that you can see in the top 6 races. He was third. That was Pratt. He was third. Oh, that was Gaffleon. Everything else was Ferran Giroux, and it's a win. And you
Yeah.
know, he goes to Maidan and wins the Dubai World Cup over Forever Young, who a lot of people thought was just going to run away with that race. And
Yeah.
who was Forever Young right behind in the Derby? Oh, that would be Sierra Leone. And you know, we all remember the stretch run of those 2 horses coming down the Churchill
Oh
stretch,
yeah.
and Hit Show just ran down one of them. Does he run down the other one here?
Yeah.
I think it's a good question, but he's going to relish the stretch here, and he's going to be closing up late, as is Sierra Leone. So I think he's definitely a little closer, but we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting with those two and how the race shapes up. But lots of great horses. Going to be a good race, good
It
betting
is.
race. But my
It
my
is.
picks are 4-6 here. But I can
Yeah.
see anybody going anyway, and I wouldn't talk them off it.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a good betting race at 7 horses. A lot of them are low, but we'll see what happens when the public gets a hold of it. Right?
Exactly.
They're going to even it out, and we'll see. But I think it's going to be a phenomenal race to watch. I really do.
Agreed.
We are getting ready to wrap up, and we have a really interesting race here. The American Derby, 250K, 8.5 furlongs on turf, and we agreed to disagree on all 2 horses here. This is a really great betting race in my opinion. There's some enormous value. I think it looks like you found some as well, and we don't even agree on where the value comes from because we have different horses here. But go ahead and kick us off with your safe play, Tim.
Look, Jose on the rail. I don't know what it is, but he
Yeah.
won with back-to-back number ones today, and there might have even been a third in there. But Jose on the rail, he's been sitting down inside, finding his spot, circling horses in the Churchill stretch, and I just think he's got one that fits that what he did today very well, and this horse fits the race. When you look at the speed figures and you look at what this horse did last race, I mean, it tops everybody else in the race. So That beats just about anybody. If this horse comes back and runs that race again, is untested over the Churchill surface, but I think he can definitely handle it here. So
Yeah.
I love the connections, Cherie DeVoe and Jose Ortiz, but this horse looks like I think Reagan's Wit is well placed here on the rail. Mile and a 16th, get a good spot before they hit the clubhouse turn and see where they're at coming from home.
Yeah. Yeah. I went with Tistastic here, and I think not everyone, but some people will be surprised. They'll say Tistastic, turf, 8.5 furlongs. What's going on there? And a lot of people might forget that this horse did start off on turf. I think he broke his maiden at Kentucky Downs, if I'm remembering that correctly. The Steve Asmussen horse, Joel Rosario, coming out of Tis the Law. This was one of my favorite horses going into the Derby, so of course I'm going to pick him here. I wish I wasn't getting 5-2 on him. I looked at the numbers. I looked at my own metrics. He even pops out for me as number one using my metrics. So this isn't me just picking my favorite Derby horse to win the American Derby here. This is me looking at the numbers and saying, well, that's the best play my numbers say, so I'm going to go with it. Tistastic got the best rated win, obviously, out of all these horses, winning the Louisiana Derby. Definitely a drop in class as he's coming out of the Kentucky Derby, so that's an obvious one as well. I do like how this horse closes, though. I'm really excited to watch this race as well. Tim, you're going to have a front row seat for this one. I feel for you, buddy. My next horse up here, Minaret Station. William Walden, Christian Torres. We haven't seen this horse run in 265 days, but when he did run, he won the G2 Bourbon. He looked great doing it, and you're getting 15-1 on him here. I love him at the distance. I love him on the surface. I love the last race he had, so I can't believe you're getting 15-1 on this horse here. Minaret Station, I'll take him here. You went in a different direction. Not Sole Volante, but Solil Volant. Go ahead and tell me about that horse.
Yeah, I just thought that Motion Graham definitely third off a layoff. We all know how I like that angle. This horse since the layoff back in February came back in an allowance race at Laurel, put a 78 buyer, then came back in a stakes at Pimlico, and then got a little bit better and a little bit closer. So this horse is getting better each time out, moving forward a little bit. I like the connections, and I read getting up here. He's 1 for 3 for Graham here at Churchill. So they have found their way to the winner's circle, and this is another one that you got to watch. The thing is, this one also is cross-centered. So this is the second one that I've got on my card that to keep an eye on. So may scratch out that day, and I hope that he doesn't, because I think he's got a real chance to finish underneath for a piece here moving forward the way that he has been in his turf races. He just keeps stepping up in class and getting better, and I hope that he doesn't run at Monmouth, but we'll keep an eye on that. If he's in the race, he's on my trifecta tickets for sure.
Interesting. Another horse I like in this race that you get value at is the number 9 horse, Giacoso, getting 10-1. Really like his last race. Really like the last 3 races he's ran. On the surface, he's good.
Yep.
There's some real value in this race. I think this is going to be a fun one, a real good way to cash out the day.
Yeah, I've got that one pretty high as well. I've got questions about Tistastic. It's one I looked long and hard at. Obviously, he does have the 2 wins on turf. A lot of people, when he was going into the Derby, were talking about that and how he might be a turf horse. But they were both at Kentucky Downs, and some horses that can win there can't win anywhere else, and horses that do terrible there win everywhere else. So it's hard to say, but it's just a long layoff as well. But I do think he has the potential to give a good showing here. I do think turf is his best surface. So I'll be interested to see how he does here coming off the layoff and getting back on turf.
Absolutely. That is where we close up, Tim. Thank you for joining me. Have a great time at this great card. We are finishing just under an hour if we hit the end button soon. Any final comments?
No, look, just have a great day at the races. It's
Yeah.
closing weekend at Churchill as we get ready to move over to Ellis Park. But it's been a great meet. It's been a good summer of racing, and we've got a great card to close it out. So good luck to
Yeah.
everybody in all your plays. Make sure you drop
Yeah.
us a note down in the comments. Let us know who you like on this Saturday's card if you've got any picks we didn't talk about.
Yeah. Hopefully we do well. Hopefully you do well. As always, gamble responsibly and have yourselves a lovely day at the track.